and welcome to Kingston Now. I'm Jimmy Buff. This past January saw a new person take the helm of the Kingston City Schools and all its challenges, and that person is with us now. Welcome to Kingston and Kingston Now, Dr. Paul Padalino.
Thank you for having me.
Hi, Paul. So what is your background? You came from up near Albany, right? Watervliet?
Yes, my most recent position was the superintendent of schools in the Watervliet City School District. Prior to that, I was closer to Kingston. I was the principal of the Hudson High School in the Hudson City School District. And before that, I was back up north a little bit. I was a teacher in the Troy City School District.
What did you teach when you were just a teacher?
Social studies.
Uh-huh. Is that a favorite subject of yours? Is that how you ended up?
Absolutely.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I had a teacher when I was in high school, a social studies teacher who just the way she ran her class, it inspired me to want to be in education.
Tell me about that desire to be in education. I mean, you're in college and you think, all right, I want to be a teacher, and it's not just a job, it's a passion, right?
Absolutely. It's, I knew when I was in high school, I came out of high school, I knew that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to pursue a career in education. Again, inspired by some of the teachers that I had, one in particular, a social studies teacher, just saw the way that she, was able to reach the students and thought, that looks like something I'd like to do, to be able to really reach out and have an impact on kids' lives.
Did you have that experience? Were you able to get that feedback from teaching in the classroom?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. It was, teaching was a great experience, and even now, last year I was able to teach a college class up at Sage College, so I still was able to get back in the classroom with some students and see them, and it's a great experience. Teaching isn't for everyone, and teaching is not just a science. Teaching is an art, so it's an art and science, and a great teacher is really. It's a hard thing to be, and it's a very important thing.
Explain, or illustrate more accurately, what is, if you can, a great teacher? Because I know I've had some in my life, but I'd just like to hear from an educator themselves.
I think a great teacher is someone, again, who can make the contact with the student, but also has a mastery of the subject area, and can bring their passion for that subject area and bring that to the classroom and have the students feel that same passion. It's a person who can have high expectations but provide high support at the same time. Letting students off easy and not being necessarily a tough teacher, as people isn't doing them any favors, but you also have to give them that support and show them that you care, get to know them. It's about relationships, it's about knowing your subject, and it's about being able to communicate with students.
But as superintendent of schools now, your duties are way more in the administrative arena.
Absolutely. It's much different than standing in front of students. Actually, many people think that the superintendent is the most powerful person in the school district. In my view, I'm the least powerful person in the school district. The most powerful person is the person that's standing in front of 30 students every day. They have the real power.
So you sound like a real advocate for the teachers on the front line.
Absolutely. I mean, they exactly, that's right. They're on the front line. They're our boots on the ground, and they're the people who make a difference. It's our job to support them and get them the things they need so they can do the job. And so our students can do what we want them to do, which is graduate, walk off that stage and step out into the world with options. And that's really our job, to make sure that our students, when they graduate, have options. They can do what they want, take the tools we've given them, and do what they want.
So you come to Kingston, and there are obvious, as I said in the intro, there are obvious challenges. What is the first thing that you do when you get here?
Well, coming in January, it's not traditional. It's kind of difficult. Usually people come in July. You have a couple of months to get to know the district, get to know the community, get to know the people who work in the district. I didn't have that opportunity. I kind of had to jump in with both feet. So I was trying to do two things at once: run the district and get to know my way around, get to know the people, get into the school buildings. But again, in January, you're hit right away. Budget's due. You have to get the school district budget together, and as everyone knows, we're in difficult times, not just in Kingston, but everywhere in public education. So we're really struggling with the reduced revenue, the tax levy limit, and just the increased expense of doing business as a school. And it's not any different than most businesses. Every year, expenses go up. So those things that's a big constraint for us, trying to balance that. But our real goal as far as budgeting is again to balance the needs of our students, the educational needs of our students, with our community's values and their ability to pay.
We'll get into some specifics about that a little later on, but let's go to a sort of a bigger umbrella issue, which is the idea of the educational system in the United States. We often hear about the great resources of the American people and our school systems, but we're ranked worldwide. We're not near the top. Why do you think that is?
Well, I think it's very difficult, and I had this question last night at a budget forum that I was presenting. It's very difficult to compare state to state or country to country. One of the things I'll say in the United States, we educate every student. We don't pick and choose who we educate. We educate every student. Our expectations are the same for every student. You know, we open our doors and we take every young person in this country into our public schools. Here in New York State, often I'm asked, why does it cost so much more in New York State to educate students? In New York State, we have mandates that most other states don't have. You know, education is the most regulated industry in the state of New York. We have mandates that most states don't have. So it's you know, it's different state to state. You can't compare, and it's very different country to country.
Are we measuring that that sort of placement on the list by the test results and by you know, by the sort of average of all the students? Is that how that is sort of being laid out?
Yeah, pretty much. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know, when we look at how our students are performing on tests that are being taken worldwide, again, we are testing all our students. Where in many countries, you know, they're not. Mm-hmm. You know, the students are tracked. We don't track students. We bring all students in. We have the same expectations for all of them.
We have had sort of an institutionalized education system for probably over 100 years since education became mandated for students.
It's the oldest public institution in the United States.
Yeah. So
older than the United States itself, actually.
Which is remarkable. But how much has it evolved along that way? This sort of, you know, we want to educate as many students as we can for the, you know, in the most cost-effective way as we can. Is that the best way to do education?
I think it is. I think it is. I think every student, every young person in this country should have the opportunity to be exposed to the curriculum, to have that opportunity to, you know, education is the great equalizer as far as I'm concerned. No matter where you're from, you know, if you come out of the schools with a good education, you can move up.
Great. Let's talk about that more when we come back. You're watching Kingston Now. More with the Superintendent of Kingston City Schools, Paul Padalino, in a moment. Welcome back to Kingston Now. This week we're talking about schools in Kingston with the new Superintendent of Schools, Paul Padalino. Paul, we were talking before the break about this sort of old-style school, old-style education system, and in response to that, several different modalities and methods of teaching have come up, including things like Montessori programs, mm-hmm. which Kingston has incorporated into the George Washington School, one of the elementary schools. What do you see the future of that stuff in public education in Kingston sticking around? I know you're evaluating that.
Yeah, we are evaluating the Montessori school, and actually, you know, we're going to evaluate everything we do. That's one of the things we have to make sure we do. We put programs in, but we have to make sure we evaluate them and make sure that they're meeting the needs of our students and that they serve our core mission. You know, we are looking at the high school in the creating small learning communities, and you know, we talk about the traditional way to do education. I mean, public education I believe in, but I believe we also need to change. Looking at things like small learning communities at our high school, creating different academies are one of the things we're thinking about. You know, a 2,200 student school can be a little impersonal, and we have to change the way we try to reach out to students. Students today don't think even the way we thought when we were in high school. It's just that it's not the same thing. They need more experiential learning. They need to get hands-on. They need to see products of what they're doing. And again, they need to, it's almost, I don't want to say it's immediate gratification, but I think students today need to see what they're, you know, they need to have something tangible to see that they're doing at the end of the day. So, you know, standing in front of a classroom, writing on a chalkboard, rows in the classroom, isn't necessarily the best way to teach our students now. We have to find new and different ways, and those are the things we're looking at. Montessori program is one of them. Small learning communities at the high school is another. So we're looking at many different ways to reach our students.
I think in the Kingston High School actually has sort of put their toe into that pool with the Carnegie Learning Center, which
yes.
is we've actually done a show on here previously, and that seems like it's really a really great opportunity for students to learn in a different way.
It definitely is, and Project Global is exactly one of those things. Like I say, experiential learning. Being able to, you know, combine all the subject areas, kind of cross-curricular work, doing projects, partnering with people in the community. We partner with CCE in that program. Again, that's a big part of what we need to do moving forward. We need to reach out and partner with people in our community. We have so many resources here in Kingston for the high school or any of our schools really to reach out to. You know, the hospitals are right next door to on both sides of our high school. You know, that's a great resource. The you know, City Hall is right across the street. I mean, a political science academy, a healthcare academy. Those are the kind of things we're looking at, and we're looking to them for partners. And in these times, I think that's what we need to do. We need to all kind of get together, pool our resources, and make things as good as we can for the young people in the city.
The challenges for not just Kingston schools, but a lot of the school districts in the area are being played out on the front pages of newspapers on a daily basis. I don't know if you read those stories. I saw recently that the President of the United States doesn't watch the network news, just doesn't go there.
Yeah.
But the comments are stunning at almost the resentment towards educators and towards administrators like yourself in making changes to the school district. How does that affect you? How does it affect you?
It's funny because everyone says to me, don't read the paper and don't read the comments. I always read the paper, I always read the comments. Because to be honest with you, that's the business we're in. We're public education. I'm paid by the taxpayers. I work for the taxpayers, and I need to hear what they're thinking and what they're saying. And believe it or not, sometimes I get good ideas reading the comments. Even sometimes the most angry comments, there might be a nugget, a little gold nugget of an idea in there. So I definitely do read the comments and I read the paper.
It's an interesting dynamic that happens in the anonymous comment sections of newspapers and websites.
Absolutely.
It's you could almost use it as a teaching tool. Back when I was going to school, it was the mob mentality as exhibited in Huckleberry Finn or in The Lord of the Flies. Right now, you see this unfiltered, anger that comes out, and you wonder: is this being directed properly, or is it just someone venting?
And like I said earlier, teachers it's hard work. Being a good teacher is hard work. And I think our teachers are out there every day doing the best they can for our students. People will paint with a broad brush. They see one bad apple and they think it ruins the whole bunch, but it doesn't. Most of our teachers are in early and they stay late, and they'll do anything for our kids. So, do our teachers deserve what they get? I believe they do. Are we in hard times and we need to sit down and work together with our teachers unions and all the unions in our district to make sure we can continue to offer programs to our students? Absolutely. And I've had no indication from our teachers union that they're not willing to sit down and talk about it. So we're all in this together. And I think, there's that saying that when the water hole dries up, the animals look at each other differently. I'm trying to avoid that.
You have some hard choices to face. So
Yes.
you're facing the closing of schools in the area. The property tax cap is affecting your budget. Do you have any sort of early plans for how you're going to address those things?
Well, one of the things we need to do, and a lot of people will say, look to Albany, ask for more money, ask for more money. Well, first of all, we kind of know there isn't any more money. And we would like to see more equitable distribution of the money. That's one of the things we look for. We'd also like to see some mandate relief. What people don't realize is we continue to get new mandates, and every one of those mandates has no money behind it.
So give me an example of one, if you can.
A good example of mandates, state testing. State testing is a mandate. Again, we have to pay teachers to stay and correct tests or free them up from teaching their class and pay substitutes to cover their class for state tests. That's an unfunded mandate. Now, is it necessary? Do we want to test our students? Absolutely. We need to know where our students are so we can inform our instruction going forward. But we're mandated to do it. There's a cost associated with it that is not that's not passed down to us from the state. So that there's just things like that we have to continuously do.
Terrific. More about education when we come back. This is Kingston Now. We're going to wrap up with Dr. Paul Padalino in a moment. You're watching Kingston Now, and joining us once again is Dr. Paul Padalino, the superintendent of Kingston City Schools. And Dr. Padalino, I saw a statistic recently that kind of got my attention. It's that 70% of African American students at Kingston High School don't graduate. That has to get your attention as the incoming superintendent. I think that actually number came out before you got here. How do you address that? Is that the school's responsibilities, parents' responsibilities? How do you address that?
Well, first of all, that's unacceptable. And that's the thing that needs to be out there first, that we see that as unacceptable, and we're going to take the steps that we need to take to change that. Is it the school's responsibility, the parents' responsibility? It's a partnership. Education is a partnership. I always say our education is a three-legged stool. It's the school, it's the student, it's the parent. And you can remove one of those legs, and maybe the stool will stand for a little while, but it'll be wobbly. We need all three of those. But we do, we're responsible. We're responsible. At the end of the day, Our job, our mission is to educate our students, to get them across the stage 4 years after they enter high school. And then, like I said before, give them a chance when they walk out to have opportunities to do what they want to do, give them options. So it's our responsibility, the buck stops here with us. We have to graduate our students. And again, I've been working with the high school principal. We have a new high school principal. He is laser focused on this. He's got some really good plans, reaching out to students, again, making that connection we talked about earlier, getting to know the students, making sure teachers are getting to know the students. That's when students have a reason to be there and know that people care about them and have high expectations and high support, they stay in school and they graduate. So he's doing a lot of great things, and we're going to support him every way we can to improve that graduation rate. And again, it's about engagement. It's about engaging them with the way we educate students. We can't educate students the way we did in the 70s, in the 80s, not even in the 90s. We have to educate students in a 21st century environment. And again, that's what we're working on smaller learning communities, working on different methods of instruction, different methods of teaching. We look at research. What's the research say? Well, how can we reach out to these students? So they're doing a good job over there. They understand the problem, they understand the issue, and they're taking steps to address it.
What would you identify as the biggest challenge facing the Kingston City Schools?
Well, we have a lot of challenges right now. Again, we look. It's about students. It's not about money. But that the budget is a challenge. The 2% tax levy limit. I shouldn't even say 2%. It's called a 2% tax cap. But it's really a tax levy limit. But we don't have enough time on this show for me to have that discussion. That's a challenge. Again, it does cost money to operate a school district. Do we need to be more efficient? Absolutely we do, and we will be. We need to be more efficient, we need to be more effective. I was stating earlier, a lot of people want to run to Albany and complain about mandates and things like that, and I support that, but the truth is we have to clean up our own backyard first.
I think every educator in America probably was buzzing after a recent episode of 60 Minutes featuring the Khan Academy. Mm-hmm. Did you happen to see that?
Yes.
It's a remarkable insight and vision for the future, or actually in some places it's actually what's happening
yes,
now.
Absolutely.
Is that something you can see being incorporated into Kingston at some point? And the Khan Academy is this online mm-hmm. learning device that is just extraordinary.
Absolutely. I think there's a real place for online learning in public education. I think we're looking at it right now to offer a Mandarin to our students at the high school. Again, it's not easy to find a teacher to teach Mandarin. That's a real opportunity for us to give students that chance to take that. So I think there's online learning, distance learning, there's definitely a place for it in public education. But I don't think it takes the place of the one-on-one interaction between a teacher and a student. I think a blended model will be where we are in a few years.
Which is really what the centerpiece of that story was, is mm-hmm. that it is not technology replacing people. It's enhancing that one-on-one experience.
Right, and I think that's key. I mean, no one said 10 years from now, no one will say, "Boy, that computer changed my life." They're going to say that teacher changed my life.
I have a 3-year-old living here in Kingston, mm-hmm. and my wife and I constantly wonder, where is he going to kindergarten? Mm-hmm. And what is his educational opportunity going to be, not just when he starts kindergarten, but in 10 or 15 years from now? Do you have a vision for the future like that? Do you see where education is going somewhere down the road?
Well, again, we're in constant change. I mean, things are changing, in this world every day. So one of the things about education is we're not nimble. We don't move quickly. We're like an aircraft carrier. We take 7 miles to make a turn. People say change in education is evolutionary, not revolutionary. We need to be more nimble. We need to be able to change with the times, change the way we instruct our students, and the teachers need to be able to learn from the students. We need to learn how they learn, so we can deliver the curriculum to them. I think we'll see a lot of different things happening in education. It's exciting, actually. It's a very exciting time. We have to change. It's a change or die kind of situation, and we do have to change.
You seem nice and up for the job, because coming into this situation, a lot of people say, well, it's sort of like, why would you want to be president of the United States? Mm-hmm. Look what happens. Immediately step in January in day one, and you're getting hammered. But that seems to not faze you too much. You seem to be really up for it.
It's exciting.
Uh-huh.
It's exciting. It's an opportunity to lead a district that yes, we have some challenges, but those challenges really are opportunities, and they're opportunities to do better things for students. So I find it really exciting. I find the environment exciting. I find it's why I came down to be actually. I was in a school district where I've been for 7 years. I was happy there. Mm-hmm. But this was I just saw it, and just something about Kingston clicked for me. and it's a challenge I look forward to. And I've told everyone I haven't jumped out of bed ready to come to work like I have since I've started here in a long time.
Do you see yourself getting into a classroom in the district at any point, maybe taking on a social studies class somewhere?
I would love to have that kind of time. I mean, when I got into education, I never realized how much time I would spend with money and with lawyers,
Sure.
and those kind of things,
Right.
and architects and those kind of things. So I would love to have that kind of time.
Is there a particular social studies lesson that you think is really relevant to these times? I'll tweak the old teacher in you.
Well, I think we have so many opportunities for lessons for our students right now, and we're doing some of them even today. Some of our students went to Albany with the Alliance for Quality Education. Some of our students from the high school and up there, and they're getting to know how to lobby, how to present the things that are important to you to power to our legislators. Mm-hmm. So this is a good lesson. This is a good opportunity to see how funding schools happens and how the reduction in state aid and tax cap things can affect the student in the classroom when they see their teacher being laid off or maybe their program being cut. When we look at how things are with budgets, these aren't things that we are doing. They're things that are being done to us right now. But again, it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity to change, an opportunity to find ways to be more efficient and more effective.
Terrific. Well, thanks for letting us get to know you.
Thank you.
That's it for this week's show. Our thanks to Paul Padalino for joining us. And remember, all our shows are now archived on our YouTube channel, and you can find the links on our Facebook page. You can also suggest topics for future shows. For Kingston Now, I'm Jimmy Buff. We'll see you next time.